Let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. Your comfort zone is not a sanctuary, it's a trap. It's a beautifully decorated prison, a place where your dreams are on life support and your purpose is being smothered quietly while you convince yourself that you're playing it safe. You see, we've been trained to pursue comfort, comfortable jobs, comfortable routines, comfortable relationships. But comfort is a liar. It whispers, you're okay here. It says you've done enough. It says you don't want to push too hard. What if you fail? But that voice isn't your friend. It's your future assassin. Comfort is the enemy of growth. You cannot evolve and stay comfortable at the same time. Growth requires stretch. Growth requires pressure. Diamonds aren't made in luxury. They're formed in heat and pressure. And I get it. Comfort feels good. But comfort is not the same as progress. Just because you're not in pain doesn't mean you're in purpose. Some of you are mistaking peace for passivity. You're mistaking stillness for stability. But let me make it clear. If you're not actively growing, you're dying. Not all death is physical. Some death is potential being buried alive. Your comfort zone was built by fear, not faith. Think about it. Every excuse you made to stay there sounds like wisdom, but it's rooted in fear. I'm not ready yet. What if I fail? What will they think of me? That's not logic. That's fear wearing a mask. And as long as fear is your GPS, don't expect to arrive at a place called greatness. Greatness demands risk. You cannot play it safe and dominate at the same time. Show me one person who did something extraordinary without stepping into uncertainty. You won't find them. Every champion, every world changer, every high performer had to make a decision. Do I stay where it's safe, or do I step into the unknown and fight for the future I know is mine? But here's the deception. Comfort doesn't kill overnight. It's slow. It's quiet. It kills with a smile. One day you say, I'll do it tomorrow, and one day becomes a month, then a year, then a decade. And before you know it, you're attending the funeral of your potential, and you're the one who wrote the eulogy. Your calling is not in the comfort zone. Your gift is not meant to be hidden in routine. The very thing you were created to do, the lives you're supposed to impact, the legacy you're supposed to leave, that's on the other side of your excuses. That's on the other side of fear. That's on the other side of comfort. You've got to get uncomfortable. You've got to be willing to stretch. Growth doesn't feel good, but it works. Pain is the price of progress. Discomfort is the currency of transformation. Every time you say yes to discomfort, you make a down payment on your destiny. So the next time you feel fear creeping in, the next time you're tempted to shrink back into what's familiar, remember this. You were not born for the comfort zone. You were born to conquer territory, break chains, and multiply what you've been given. You will never know what you're truly capable of until you step into what you've never done. And if you want to live in purpose, walk in power, and unleash potential, you must declare war on comfort. Your destiny depends on it. Comfort is the enemy of growth because it lulls you into a false sense of accomplishment. It makes you believe that where you are is good enough, that you've arrived, that there's no need to stretch, press, or pursue more. But the truth is, the moment you settle into comfort, you begin to decay. Not physically, maybe not even financially at first, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally, you begin to shrink. You stop dreaming. You stop risking. You stop challenging yourself to become more. Growth doesn't happen where it's easy. Growth happens where it's hard. Growth demands friction. It demands resistance. It demands that you do things that make you uncomfortable, that you step into situations where you might fail, where you might look foolish, where you might not be in control. That's the price. And most people aren't willing to pay it because they worship comfort more than they desire transformation. Comfort tells you you've done enough for today. Growth says, push a little further. Comfort says, you deserve to rest. Growth says, earn your rest through effort. Comfort says, what if it doesn't work? Growth says, what if it does? And that's the difference between a mediocre life and a meaningful one. See, if you never challenge your current level, you'll never discover the next one. You'll never find out what you're truly made of until you put pressure on the system. Trees don't grow roots unless storms come. Muscles don't grow unless they're torn and rebuilt. And your character, your vision, your power, it doesn't grow in ease. It grows in resistance. The tragedy is, most people will live their entire lives within the limits of their comfort zone and call it wisdom. They'll say they're being realistic, but in reality, they're just being ruled by fear. They're more committed to protecting what's familiar than pursuing what's possible. But if you want to grow, if you want to break barriers and step into your potential, you have to get honest with yourself. Ask, am I really growing or am I just maintaining? Am I really evolving or am I just surviving on autopilot? Because growth is not automatic, it's intentional, and it starts the moment you stop choosing comfort and start choosing challenge. So the next time life stretches you, don't run from it, lean in. That stretch is not there to break you, it's there to build you. And if you can endure the discomfort, you'll experience the development. Because comfort might feel good for a moment, but growth will reward you for a lifetime. Your comfort zone isn't a fortress of safety, it's a cage built by fear. It feels secure, but that's an illusion. What you call safety is often just the absence of risk, not the presence of purpose. The boundaries of your comfort zone weren't drawn by wisdom, they were drawn by past failures, rejections, doubts, and insecurities. Every time you backed down instead of stepping up, every time you chose ease over effort, every time you let fear whisper, "not now," you added a brick to that wall. And now it feels like protection, but it's actually limitation. Fear disguises itself as caution. It wears the mask of being careful, of being strategic, of being patient. But underneath that mask is paralysis. You delay action not because you're waiting for the right time, but because you're scared of what might happen if you step outside the familiar. You're afraid of looking foolish, of failing publicly, of losing what little comfort you've managed to secure. But let's be real. What's more dangerous, stepping into the unknown or staying stuck in a life that doesn't challenge you, stretch you, or fulfill you? Staying in your comfort zone might protect your ego, but it will cost you your evolution. And here's the irony. The very thing you're afraid of, uncertainty, failure, rejection, is the exact environment where growth lives. Progress doesn't come from what you already know or what you've already mastered. It comes from entering territory where you're not sure what will happen, but you show up anyway. It comes from doing the thing that scares you until it doesn't. Fear is loud in the comfort zone. It's the voice that says, don't try, don't ask, don't risk. And the more you listen to it, the stronger it gets. But when you step outside that zone, something powerful happens. The voice of fear gets quieter, and the voice of faith gets louder. You start to realize that fear is a liar, and safety was never real. It was just a story you told yourself to avoid taking responsibility for your potential. What you need is not more safety. What you need is courage. The courage to feel afraid and move anyway. The courage to break routines that keep you stuck. The courage to destroy the false peace that comes from hiding your gifts. Because your purpose doesn't live in your comfort zone. Your next level doesn't live in convenience, it lives in the unknown. And fear only controls those who refuse to confront it. So today, confront it, step past it, prove to yourself that the walls you thought were protecting you were really just keeping you from your promise. You don't need to feel ready, you need to be willing to be uncomfortable, to be uncertain, to be stretched, because only then will you truly be free. Greatness isn't handed to anyone. It's taken by those bold enough to risk what's comfortable for what's possible. You cannot walk in greatness and play it safe at the same time. The two don't live in the same neighborhood. Safety seeks predictability. Greatness lives in uncertainty. The people who achieve extraordinary things aren't the ones who had all the answers. They're the ones who had the audacity to move forward without them. Every breakthrough you admire, every legacy that inspires you, every success story you celebrate, none of them happened without risk. Someone had to bet on themselves. Someone had to take the shot, not knowing if it would hit the target. Someone had to say yes to a vision before the resources showed up. And that's the cost of greatness. The willingness to look foolish before you look brilliant, to be misunderstood before you're celebrated, to take a leap when you don't even know where you'll land. Playing it safe may keep you from failure, but it will also keep you from fulfillment. Playing it safe may protect your reputation, but it will rob you of revelation. You will never know what you're capable of until you're willing to go beyond what feels manageable. Risk is the bridge between who you are and who you were born to become. And if you're not crossing that bridge, you're not growing, you're just repeating. Some people wait for conditions to be perfect before they move. But greatness doesn't wait, it acts. It takes imperfect action in uncertain conditions with unwavering faith. That's what separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck. The ones who rise are the ones who are willing to risk their comfort, their pride, and sometimes even their stability to chase something bigger than themselves. You've got to stop asking, what if it doesn't work, and start asking, what if it does? You've got to stop trying to control the outcome and start committing to the process. Because without risk, there is no reward. Without stepping into the unknown, you'll never discover what was waiting for you on the other side. Yes, risk means you might fail. It means you might lose. But it also means you might win. It means you might become. And that chance, that possibility is worth everything, because settling is safe, but it's also soul suffocating. The real danger isn't in taking a risk and failing. The real danger is in playing it safe and never finding out what you could have done. Greatness demands risk because greatness is rare. And anything rare always comes with a cost. So if you want the prize, be willing to pay the price. Risk is not your enemy, it's your access point. Embrace it, move with it. Because if you can learn to take bold action in the face of uncertainty, you can step into a life most people only dream about. Comfort doesn't come at you with sirens and warning signs. It doesn't knock you down all at once. Comfort is subtle, it's slow. It creeps in quietly and convinces you that average is acceptable, that later is better, that dreams can wait. And while you relax, while you procrastinate, while you settle for good enough, your potential is silently bleeding out. It's a slow killer because it seduces you into believing you're fine where you are. It doesn't challenge you. It doesn't demand more. It doesn't push you to confront your flaws or sharpen your gifts. Instead, it wraps you in routines, distractions, and easy wins that make you feel accomplished. But the truth is, you're just busy being stagnant. You're doing enough to feel productive, but not enough to be powerful. Every day you spend in comfort, a piece of your fire dies. Your ambition fades. Your hunger weakens. And the saddest part is that most people don't even notice it happening. They think they're stable. They think they've got time. But what they really have is a slow drift into mediocrity that becomes so familiar, it feels normal. You don't wake up one day and realize you wasted your life. It happens in inches. One skipped goal, one abandoned habit, one ignored opportunity, and over time, those small decisions become a lifestyle. You start trading long-term purpose for short-term peace. You stop reaching, you stop believing, and before long, you're alive but not truly living. Comfort kills more dreams than failure ever will. Failure teaches, failure strengthens, failure wakes you up, but comfort sedates. It makes you numb. It convinces you that growth is too risky, too uncomfortable, too much trouble. So you stay still, you repeat the same year over and over, calling it progress when it's just survival. And here's the truth. Your potential isn't taken from you, it's surrendered. Not in a moment of catastrophe, but in a lifetime of compromise. You let it go every time you choose the easy road over the right one. Every time you shrink from a challenge. Every time you tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow isn't promised and greatness doesn't wait. So you have to wake up and ask yourself, what is comfort really costing me? How many opportunities have I ignored because they required more effort than I was willing to give? How much purpose have I left on the table because I was afraid to be uncomfortable? The life you want will not come to you in comfort. It will require discomfort, discipline, and daring decisions. You'll have to do things that stretch you. You'll have to confront your fears, fight your laziness, and resist the urge to settle. But if you do, you'll come alive in ways comfort never could offer. Comfort is a slow killer, but courage is the antidote. And every time you choose discomfort in pursuit of purpose, you take your life back, one bold decision at a time. Your calling doesn't live in the safe, familiar, predictable places. It lives out there, beyond the limits of what you've known, beyond what feels manageable, beyond the borders of your comfort zone. You weren't created for routine. You were created for purpose. And that purpose won't reveal itself until you're willing to leave the zone you keep running back to whenever life gets challenging. Your calling isn't hidden. It's just outside of reach. Not because it's impossible, but because you haven't stretched far enough to grab it. The comfort zone is too small to contain your assignment. It's too soft to sharpen your character. It's too predictable to prepare you for greatness. And that's why so many people never step into who they were meant to be, because they refuse to step out of who they've always been. See, your true calling requires confrontation. It forces you to face your insecurities, your doubts, your fears, and your excuses. That's why it's outside the zone. Inside the zone, everything makes sense. You have control. You avoid failure. But outside the zone, that's where the real work begins. That's where you feel the stretch. That's where you question yourself. But it's also where you grow, where you evolve, where you finally come into alignment with the person you were born to become. Your comfort zone offers convenience, but your calling offers conviction. One feeds your ego, the other feeds your soul. One keeps you small, the other demands you go big. But you can't have both. You can't cling to comfort and walk in calling, so you have to decide. Do you want ease or do you want elevation? That dream inside you, that vision you keep pushing aside, it wasn't meant to sit on a file labeled someday. It was meant to be pursued. It was meant to be lived. But it's not going to fall in your lap. It's not going to show up while you stay in the same routine, avoiding the very battles that are designed to unlock your next level. If you really want to step into your calling, you have to leave the zone. You have to step into unfamiliar territory and trust that you'll find the strength, the skill, and the support along the way. You have to be willing to feel awkward, to be misunderstood, to take steps without seeing the whole staircase. Because the calling isn't about comfort, it's about contribution. It's not about being safe, it's about being significant. Everything you're looking for, impact, fulfillment, legacy, it's not where you've been, it's where you're scared to go. And once you realize that your comfort zone was never meant to be your permanent residence, but just a rest stop, you'll start moving. You'll start chasing. You'll stop waiting for permission and start walking in power. Your calling is calling. The question is, will you answer it, or will you let your comfort zone send it to voicemail? Discomfort is not your enemy. It's the currency you must pay to access transformation. Every version of yourself that you admire, that you dream of becoming, is standing on the other side of discomfort. Growth isn't free. Change isn't convenient. Elevation isn't easy. There's a cost, and that cost is your willingness to endure what most people avoid: pain, pressure, uncertainty, and resistance. We live in a world that celebrates instant gratification and avoids struggle. But transformation doesn't come in a box with 2-day shipping. It's forged in the fire of hard decisions, long nights, stretched faith, and consistent discipline. The discomfort you try to escape is the very tool life uses to refine you, to shape you, to strip away what's weak so that what's strong can emerge. Think about it. Nothing great was ever built without discomfort. Muscles grow by tearing. Skills grow through repetition. Wisdom grows through failure. Purpose grows through pressure. And yet, so many people want the reward without the resistance. They want the success without the sacrifice. But life doesn't work like that. You can't bypass the process. Discomfort is the training ground for greatness. When you choose to do what's hard, you strengthen your character. When you lean into challenges instead of avoiding them, you develop grit. When you commit to discipline, even when it's boring, painful, or exhausting, you build momentum. And that momentum transforms not just what you do, but who you are. Most people quit when it gets uncomfortable. That's why mediocrity is overcrowded, because it doesn't require much. But the path to purpose, the road to excellence, it's narrow, it's lonely, it's paved with discomfort. That's what filters out the average from the anointed. That's what separates wishers from warriors. So if you're uncomfortable right now, good. That means you're being stretched. That means something is shifting. That means you're not standing still. The pain you're feeling isn't punishment, it's preparation. The resistance you're facing isn't rejection, it's refinement. You're being transformed. But transformation doesn't happen in the comfort zone. It happens in the crucible of pressure. Don't run from discomfort. Embrace it. Welcome it. Let it do its work in you, because on the other side of that discomfort is a version of you that's wiser, stronger, bolder, and more equipped for the assignment ahead. Every step into discomfort is a down payment on the future you desire. It may cost you ease, but it will pay you back in excellence. So if you truly want to rise, to lead, to impact, be willing to pay the price. Discomfort is temporary, but transformation is eternal. Let me leave you with this. Your potential